Sorry, Tulika. Tulika, you may go ahead.
Yes, I'm extremely sorry. Here's a power blackout. Am I in the line to present?
Yes.
Yes, sure, sir. So please give me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So a warm afternoon, everyone. Extreme apologies for a short wait. So I'll be presenting my screen. Just wish to notify since there's a power blackout. I'm from my mobile. So while I present, my screen will switch off.
Ma'am, can I present now so you can fix the problem? Is that okay?
It's
If you
fine,
don't
but
mind.
that's acceptable to the chairperson.
Like as Nilam, Tulika has already started. Let her finish. Then please.
Okay, okay.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. So my paper title is Factors to be Dwelled Upon for Building an Effective Digital Network for Digital Business Models. So in this paper, I'll be basically focusing on digital business models and how should they build a network which is effective and also will promise them business leads, because after all, we every business wishes for sales which are recurring in nature, and an effective network actually promises that. So let's move further. The objectives of this paper are to study digital business models, to analyze the importance of networking, to understand the pointers that builds an effective digital network. So on these three parameters, I have based this paper, and the methodology that I have used was actually interacting with founders of startups and youth organizations, because post pandemic and during the pandemic, many youth organizations have emerged which are solely digital in nature. So, and face to face interaction with them have helped me build up this paper. And what basically I have focused is the connecting, awareness and publicizing of these particular firms, because firms need to connect with the customers, create awareness about the brand and actually publicize their particular company. So let's move on to digital business models. It is defined as business with digital foundation, and it relies heavily on online crowd and network, because in businesses which are in offline mode, we have customers, crowd gatherings, and then various events where there are people coming in, some opening ceremonies and so on. But when it is digital, it is entirely traffic based. And that's the third point. Attracting traffic is most influential aspect, because it's always everything is on the server. So you need to actually search in the server, you need to reach out, then only an establishment or a connection has been done. So building up a sustainable network is very vital for digital business models. If the network is the one which promises good business, then only will their existence be of any influential gain. So generating unique users on web portals and social media handle is an integral strategy. And this point is what PR mechanisms or public relation experts focus on, because their web portals or various social media handles, how many unique users are coming in, visiting their site, visiting their product and services, actually generates business. Networking and its importance. So business models are built on their network. A network does not mean only customers, it also means the co-brands that we're associating with, the factories that we are processing our products, or the raw resources from where we are getting our raw materials, or if it's any service, then the resource people who are working for us. So everything is a network. And what kind of a network you have, how strong and efficient it is, forms your business model and gives strength to it. So it's very important aspect. Networking helps to design customer base and face business needs. Again, if suppose it's an education industry, so it's very important that the customer base you have are from that sector alone, and it's not they have a sector different from you, or from agriculture, or from economic industry, or some different. It needs to be from the academic sector. Then only, if you are building an educational firm, you will be successful in at least establishing it. It increases brand awareness, which in turn promises goodwill along with stability of leads. That's true, because our network people, the ones who are into the network, will create trust, will have trust, and then spread it through the word of mouth, which stabilizes the business and brings lead in return. And that's what it boosts word of mouth marketing style. Now, characteristics of ineffective networks. This part, what I have observed and what I have seen while interacting with the youth organizations, they have network but are ineffective. What I mean is, they have large number of people on the social medias, on their web portals, but they aren't any productive. There's no productivity coming out from it. And why is it so? Firstly, so this kind of networks leads to business failures. I'll relay on this point a bit later. The very first thing is, this networks heavily rely on available connections. Now, when forming a network, we need to go a step ahead to form connections, and not from the one which are already there. Like a very present example, youth organizations which are formed by youths who are teens, who are in their 18s or 19s, they try to establish a company from their own friend circle, as in the people they know, the students they know, the peers they know, they include them in their network, and then try to expect business from that particular circle itself. So this is a heavy reliance on available connection, and if that goes on, it will ultimately lead to failure. Then moreover, there is no target audience, because in any business, be it whichever sector, our network should be of the target audience. So ineffective networks have generalized audience, and that is again a big problem. Then saturated market. This one is an interesting concept. Especially, there was one particular writing hub organization. So they consisted of writers, and the network were all those interested into writing. But the point was, it was saturated market. As in, either most of them, though interested in writing, have no intention of being a part of it at present because of their other issues or other circumstances. They are busy with something else, or have lost interest in it. So what happens is, the target audience loses the utility factor. So it do not have any utility into that particular product or service. And if such people are a part of the network, it is a saturated market. So for this, in this paper, I have focused on the steps for building an effective digital network. Because if we have very different kind of networks. How can we make sure it's an effective one? So the very first thing is to identify your target audience and plan out your marketing strategies. Target audience is very, very important. We need to encircle who fall under that category, because then alone will our business be able to lay the foundation. And planning out marketing strategies in advance is very important, because that channelizes the schemes and upcoming strategies that will come into effect. Then, to point out the groups of people associated with your target audience and also those who would be affected by your marketing strategies. So as discussed earlier, we need to broaden our network. So that happens when we try to encircle who are the ones associated with target audience. Like coming to an example, if it's in cooking industry, so not only those who have interest in cooking or have interest in this culinary skills, but also those who are interested into organic production of fruits and vegetables or have interest in those sectors, because it's an interlinked association. And when a network is having a diversified but a channelized attention, it leads to a fruitful result. Then to explore the common interest of your potential network, as in the target audience, what are the common interests? If we know that, it helps in PR mechanisms in different activities. If we know that they're interested into which kind of events, which kind of committees or which kind of activities, we can organize them and attract them towards our business or towards our network. So that's what the last point says: organize events in the fields of interest of your potential network. Then keep formulating various schemes for follow-up and be in touch. This point was very important, because in my research I had seen that many had wonderful networks, but there was lack of follow-up. They weren't in touch with the ones they have already been in contact with. So that leads to stagnation of network, which is very dangerous. To accumulate maximum people from your network circle on your social media handles. So today it's the world of social media, and especially youth are always into them. So your media presence, be it Facebook, Instagram, or whichever platform, how many followers, how many people you have over there shows your presence, your dominance, or your command in the industry. And lastly, to carry out activities or propose prospects that benefits the people within your network circle, irrespective of the corresponding sales impact. This point has a humanitarian aspect as well, because networking is not about sales generating alone. It's not we are creating a network who will be our business clients. No, it's about making our presence, our brand awareness, and it always has to be in a give and take policy. We cannot always expect benefits from them, but need to provide benefits from our end. So it can be small benefits like some knowledge itself. It should not be like just some freebies which many companies do in the start to entrap their customers, but it should be in the long run. In conclusion, building a network is about brand awareness, which promises long-term growth accompanied by profits. For successful networking, a digital business model needs to maintain regular PR mechanisms along with productive traffic generation. The business model and its consumer need to be mutual to sustain the relation. And with this, I conclude my presentation, but since due to technical constraints, I was not able to interact with my camera on. So to conclude my entire delivery of presentation of my paper, I would just like to say one thing, that in this paper, when we are seeing about digital network, the difference between non-digital network is that's like a very practical approach, and now everything is going virtual, because virtual is more easier. And in case of networking, it's much more easier because It's just a click away. But that click has to be productive and not something which is on the trend. And in this conference, when we were interacting, an interesting thing that came was we need to focus on the humanitarian side as well. So, like I said, when we create a network, we should do give and take policy for benefits. We can create a brand image wherein the people who you are associated with, or to say the customers who are with you, get some quality value, not your product or services, but some additional quality values, some benefits, some knowledge, or to say some interesting key takeaways that can help in their life to live a good life. Just a small example, like how Tatas have an image of caring for their employees. It's a known fact that Tatas treat their employees like their families. It's an old concept. So if we as businesses do something on a very small level, not a bigger one, but a small level through our networks, that creates a brand image and will actually be helpful in the long run. In the short run, it may seem pointless, but it's not. It will help in the longer run to create an image of its own kind, which is irrelevant of profits. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tulika. Is there any questions for Tulika? Any question for Tulika? Thank you, Tulika, for your nice presentation. I will move on to the next presentation to be given by Neelam. Neelam, you can please present.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll just share my screen.
Is there a metro? Can you imagine how much pollution is reduced by using of metro? And you say that it is a nascent step. India has made a nascent step. A emerging country like India has done so much in environment is something which is not thought of. Rather, USA and China pollutes the most.
Correct. I'm agree.
Thank you, sir. They actually, first it was USA and China, and now China has exceeded USA. So therefore, India is trying to ask them, please reduce your greenhouse gases, and then tell others that reduce their. Because this is the new, this is the new, what is called, it is neo-colonialism way. When you make environment as a priority, that is, you are basically putting it as a constant on the developing countries. Everything has to be done by the global south. The global south is responsible for not polluting nothing, and the global north will enjoy. So that is why the Paris Convention is very, very, very important. You should have mentioned that. Anyways, thank you for your nice presentation, Dr. Trabuski. Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Anything, sir? Anything else you want to add?
Thank you.
No, sir.
Okay. Now we will move to Dr. Hema Rao.
So, sir, am I audible, sir? Sir, am I audible, sir? Hello? Sir, am I audible?
Who, Hema Rao?
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. Please.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning to all. For my topic is
You have
Vijay.
lots of background noise. Hello.
Sir?
Lot of background noise. Please ask them to stop, or you can go somewhere else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Hemara Rapati, sir.
No, we cannot hear you. You have lot of background noise. Somebody behind you is speaking.
Oh, yes, sir. Sir, sir, Divyang Vijay employees in Indian Railway case study of East Coast Railway, sir. India is second most populous country in the world. Transport sector is an important part of the nation's economy. India's public transport system are among the most exploited system in the world. The history of rail transport in India began in mid-19th century. It enjoys being the most used transport system. It not only integrates social, economic, and cultural foundation of the country, but also is the great facilitator in terms of employment opportunity. East Coast Railway was first of the 7 new zones to be inaugurated by the then Honorable Prime Minister on 8/8/96. The officer on special duty took over charge of the newly declared zone in 16 September 1996. Initially, only one division, namely Khurda Road, was attached to this railway.
Do you
Subsequently,
have a
however,
presentation? Just a minute. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
PPT, yes, sir.
Word file do you have?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a Word file
Yes, sir.
where you have made your notes?
Yes, sir, I have, sir.
Can you please share it with us?
Okay,
It
sir.
will be easier for the audience to understand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will, sir.
Please share.
Yes, sir.
Because you are speaking very fast and it will be very difficult for our audience to comprehend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will send 2 minutes, sir. Sir, whom to I send, sir? So WhatsApp is only admin can send it messages, sir.
Yeah, please share the screen.
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are already 13 minutes out of the schedule.
Yes, sir. Sir, seen, sir.
Please share the screen and please,
Screen.
yeah, Zoom, you need to share the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and now we can see your article. So you can now gradually drag as you read.
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. So presently, a Divyang person is one who suffers from a loss of limb or deformity, physical or mental capability, whether due to nature's foul play or unexpected unfortunate accident. It is estimated that out of 12 million Indians, 1.8% Indian population have at least one disability or other. The physical challenge who are also termed as handicapped, disabled or mentally disadvantaged are having more than one type of physical difficulty. The number of Divyangs increase every year because of the accidents taking place on roads, railways, even airplanes because of mechanical or human errors. In this era of fast developing science and technology, the natural calamities caused by heavy rains, floods, earthquakes are also added to the number of physical challenges. Work or employment is one of the most important aspects of lives of individuals, especially for Divyangs. Not only it provides fulfillment, but also.
Hello, Mr. Hemrao. Dr. Hemrao, I would like to specify that this entire thing boils down to only one thing, that is the total proportion of the 2011. That is what you are trying to say,
Yes, sir.
right? And maximum you can say one addition. What is the definition of physical? What is the definition of a disability?
Yes, sir.
Right? Differently abled. So
yes,
please
sir.
move on to that. Yes, what are the 4 types of hearing, then all those, please, impairment.
Yes,
what are
yes,
the
sir. The following distinction made by the World Health Organization in the context of health experience between impairment and disability and hardship. So, disability, any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity in the manner of within the range considered normal or for a human being. A handicap meaning a disadvantage for a given individual resulting for an impairment or disability. The limits are prevent the fulfillment of role that is normal, depending upon race, sex, social and cultural factor for the individual. Handicap is therefore a function of the relation between disabled person and the environment. It occurs when they encounter 18 cultural, physical, or social barriers which prevent their access to the various systems of society that are available to the other citizens. Thus, handicap is loss of or limitation of the opportunity to take part of life and equality. There is a different group of disability, one visual handicap. Sir. A visual handicap.
Okay. Now the able. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Those are the means known as Divyang as per Prime Minister's Man Ki Baat. That
Yes,
is
sir.
fine. Now the next part is you should discuss what are the types defined by the census 2011. So what are the types divided by?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So types of disability census provided. One visually handicapped, sir. Visually handicapped means 100% blind. Percentage of a doctor certified by some percentage. So 40% and above is eligible for the all privileges. Below 40% is some privileges, sir. If, for example, in government sector, opportunity, work opportunity, visually any person disability, more than 40% is needed, sir. So visually handicapped is visual and deaf and dumb is unable to speak and unable to listen, deaf and dumb. And orthopedical handicap is one of the limb is not working. That is called an orthopedical handicap, sir. In as per 2016 Person with Disabilities Act, there are 21 other more disabilities added, like acid accident, dwarfism,
Wait.
Parkinson's.
We will not move to the act now.
Okay.
There is a rule to present.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
you please tell me these how much percentages.
Yes, sir.
Percentages in each case. Like if somebody is blind, then how much percent? There is a special percentages for each Divyang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is a percentage, sir, but
Audience about that.
yes, sir.
After that, you will speak. Listen to me, Mr. Hemarao. After that, you will speak about the Constitution,
Yes,
and
sir.
then you will speak about the act from which special provision of the Constitution that act has been taken place.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You present like that.
Okay,
Otherwise,
yes,
just reading doesn't help.
Yes, sir. The percentages so far I am not incorporated in this, sir. I will incorporate it in
No
that.
problem. You go ahead with the
A new word. Yes, sir.
constitutional frameworks. Go ahead
Yes.
with the constitutional
Yes, sir.
framework. Article 45 of the DSP.
Article 41 of Directive Principles of State Policy states that states shall make effective provision for securing the right to work, education, to public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness, and disablement within the limit of its economic capacity and development. The subject of relief of the disabled and unemployed is specific in state list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. There is a legislative provisions for disabilities. Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. The Act replaces the Person with Disabilities Equal Opportunities Protection of Rights and Full Participation Act 1995, sir. Person in this act, person with disability means a person with long-term.
These are the definitions as per section 2 of
Yes,
the
sir.
Act. So you
Yes,
don't need to read everything. So you go for the reservation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The reservation, the types of disabilities have been increased from 7 to 21 in this act, sir. In this act onwards, 3% to 4% reservation is increased from employment, whereas education institutions 3% to 5% reservation is increased, sir. Now the new word, person with benchmark disability. In this act, person with disability, now it is person with benchmark disabilities as added the word, which means a group of 16 and 18 years shall have the right to conduct government-funded education institutions as well as government-recognized institutions will have to prove inclusive education, sir. And there is some programs of Disability in India, Accessible India campaign, creation of accessible environment for PWDs, a nationwide flagship campaign for achieving universal accessibility that will enable persons with disability to gain access for equal opportunities. And one more, Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Scheme. Under this scheme, financial assistance is provided to NGOs for providing various services to persons with disabilities, like special skills, vocational training centers, community-based rehabilitation preschool, and assistance to disabled person for purchase and fitting aids and appliances. The poor person with disabilities working with some aids, support of some aids. Those who AIDP program, the scheme aims to help a disabled person by bringing suitable, durable, scientifically manufactured, modern and standard aids and appliances within their reach. And the National Fellowship for Students with Disabilities Act, disabilities, the scheme aims to increase opportunities to students with disability for pursuing higher education. Under this scheme, 200 fellowships per year are granted to students with disability. Scheme of National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, Mental Rehabilitation and Multiple Disabilities. Statement of the problem. India, my present deals with the status of the professional status of Divyang in the Indian Railway, a case study of East Coast Railway. For evaluating the professional status of persons with disabilities, East Coast Railway, it is to study the entire East Coast Railway will be designed on methodology. It includes statement of problem, significance of study, research gap, scope of study, objectives and research questions.
So you have reached the time limit. I request you to please wind up your presentation within a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these are the review of literature. Fine. So what are
Yes,
your
sir.
objectives?
My area of study is enabling to having a
Fine.
visibility.
What are your objectives?
Yes, sir. This is my objectives. The first to identify the problems being faced by the Divyang railway employees, to explore the various benefits from government received by the Divyang employees, to study the facilities and benefits available for the Divyang railway employees, to examine and demand and aspirations, policies and laws relating to Divyangs, to offer solutions to improve the professional life of Divyang of East Coast Railway, sir. My research questions: to what extent Divyang railway employees are being treated on par with the other railway employees? To what extent Supreme Court judgment with regard to implementation of reservation and promotion of Divyang railway employees? To what extent the rule of posting and the transfer of Divyang railway employees is implementing by East Coast Railway? What type of problems being faced by the Divyang employees? To what extent the professional benefits provided by the railway department being utilized by the Divyang employees? Hypothesis: there is no significant difference in the perception of recruitment policies among Divyang employees and normal employees. There is a less implementation of policy of posting and transfer of Divyang railway employees near to their native place in East Coast Railway. There is no implementation of Supreme Court judgment with regard to implementation of reservation and promotion for Divyang railway employees. Research methodologies are divided into two parts: primary method.
Okay, now we will stop here. Hello.
Sir.
So we will stop here. I understand that this is a proposal
Sir.
of your seminar and you want to present that here. I would have given you more time, but sorry, it's already we are shooting time, so we will go for Mr. Malay. Dr. Travasi, do you have any questions? Okay. If he doesn't have any questions, we will move to Dr. Malay. So can you please start your presentation? Post that we will.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, can you switch off this share screen so that I can present my presentation?
You start doing that, automatically that will be done.
Okay, done, sir. Sir, is my screen visible?
Mollberg has started screen share. Yeah.
Screen visible, sir?
Yeah, screen visible.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Myself, Malay, from NES Ratnam College of Arts, Science and College. Today, I'm here to present a paper on the fiscal deficit of India. This research paper talks, the objective of this research paper to study about the fiscal deficit of India, the fiscal deficit trend. What is the trend of fiscal deficit of India? The reasons, there are some pros and cons. Everything has some positive effect and as well as the negative effect. I will be discussing about this and what are the steps or the measures taken by the government to reduce this fiscal deficit. Before starting, let me have one small introduction about what is fiscal. This word fiscal is derived from the Latin word fiscus, which means a treasury or a basket, which is a treasury of treasure, a basket of money. This word has to be used in the European times by the Romans or the Europes.
It will be good that if you simply define what do you mean by now, revenue is income minus revenue, that formula. You give it that one will define. Okay.
The fiscal deficit
Yes, we
deficit
don't have
means
that.
when the government expenditures are more than its revenue, that is known as the fiscal
Very
deficit.
good. Very good.
In India, Ministry of Finance is responsible for every macroeconomic policies, including unemployment, fiscal deficit policies, and etc. Of which fiscal deficit is one
It's
of the
not
major
fiscal
problems.
deficit policy, Malay. It is fiscal policy.
Fiscal policies, yes, sir. It's a fiscal policies. Here, this is the graph showing the fiscal deficit trend of India, taken from the official site of government of Union Budget government. I will be talking from the year 2014-15. In the year 2014-15, the deficit of percentage of deficit was 4.1% of the GDP, which was reducing till year 2018-19. In the year 1920, when the second time the government came up, there was increase in this deficit, that is rose up to 4.6%. It could be that some of the capital projects has been invested, but unfortunately again in the year 2021, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the revenue of the government has reduced, but expenditure has not reduced. Government has the huge expenditure of this vaccination drives, hospitals, medical facilities, and many more. So it rose to the highest of 9.2% of the GDP in the year 2021. And again, it goes on reducing, and for this year, for the present fiscal year 22-23, it was expected to be 6.4% fiscal deficit of the GDP. Some reasons for this fiscal deficit are the first reason is the high import of crude oil. India imports a high amount of crude oil from the foreign countries. In the year 2021, the total import of crude oil is about $170 billion, which amounts up to 30% of the total imports of the India. Second reason is the expenditure. A country covered with the enemy countries such as Pakistan and China, the very important thing is to have the military expenditure. From 2014, it can be seen that the military expenditure has increased a lot. For the year 2020, the military expenditure was 73,001 billion US dollar. Next, third reason is the pension scheme. India
Malay, a question here.
Please.
Previous slide. This is often researchers make this mistake. This is you have taken in current prices. Means whatever data was there, you have simply plotted in Excel and done a column bracket from RBI. Correct?
Yes.
That should have been not there. No? It should have been deflated by the GDP deflator.
Yes, yes.
So automatically this takes account of the inflation. And then you say it's very high. Obviously it will be high. It is a exponential curve. It will be like that. No? Okay. And your source of data is not written. Okay, go ahead. I'm telling you this because you are a student. You can become a researcher in future. That time you can do like that. Okay.
Yes, sure, sir. Yes, yes. Then we have the pension expenses. Still, India provides pensions for the old age peoples. We have this for the 2021. It was 18,93,280 crores.
How you are concluding that they are high?
It amounts up to 3% of the GDP.
So it is high. Health expenditure is round about how much? Have you checked those? Means, have you decomposed the total expenditure composition around? I agree with you that it is high for the time being. But this what you gave the answer, is it being showed in the slide? You said it amounts to 3% of the GDP. Have you shown that? You have shown.
No, sir.
So the analysis what you in your mind is not coming here.
Yes, sir.
Is not reflected in the presentation, right? So it should have been there. And in the earlier part also, you said defense budget is high. In that case, defense budget is high only, I will agree, if 2014 and 2015, there has been increase in percentage points higher than that of 2016-17. So simply looking at the absolute figures, you cannot tell anything.
Yes, got it, sir.
Percentage figure is required. Second, you can also do one thing that is a bit higher level, not for you right now. You can also do a trend break analysis. Okay, so that is something higher econometric level you can avoid. Next, go to the next slide, please.
And for the higher deficit in the year 2020, that is rose to 9.2%, was due to this COVID-19 pandemic. It has the budget of 35,000 crores.
No, health is a reason, I agree. But what about the revenue? There were no revenue for 2 months. 21-22 will automatically 21-22 will increase. Fiscal deficit, your topic is not only, both. It contains both. It contains, the income and the expenditure. You are showing only the expenditure. The income subsequently declined because there were no GST collection for May, June. And even in July also, there were supply chain breaks. The economy didn't revive. Minus 24% it went in the second quarter. And it was zero, only minus 7%, the total annual growth rate. So when it is minus, the economy has shrunk. Automatically, revenue is a function of GDP. So if revenue is a function of GDP, means you can tax, as if you don't have any income, you cannot tax people, right? So you can only tax people, or you can only generate revenue when there is GDP. So if the GDP has shrunk, automatically what will happen? Expenditure will shrunk as well as income will also shrunk. Now income shrunk higher in level to expenditure. That is the reason the fiscal deficit increased. You are giving only the expenditure. You are not giving the income side. Next one.
And then the interest rate. The India has its income that is from the domestics, that is from the taxes, are only 15% from the income tax and 15% from the corporate tax as of 20 to 23, the budget that is, and it has 35% of its deficit. The borrowings are 35%, so it has to incur a huge interest payment.
Okay.
And that's the sixth point. That is sixth one of the reason is that lower revenue from the domestic. That, as I said, that is a 15% from the income tax, personal income tax, and 15% and 15% from the corporate tax. It only amounts to 30%, and 35%.
That is direct taxes. That is direct taxes you are talking about. Indirect taxes is the rest. India never had a huge database that brings the entire thing. The total direct tax share in India is less. That is around 15%. And total 85% is indirect tax, 80+%. So how many people pays taxes in India? 7% is in the formal sector. Understood? So this is normal. It is not the reason for fiscal deficit to arise. Okay, go ahead.
There are some pros and cons. The negative side of that, it shows that there is a high imports and high borrowings, high debts of the country. Those are the negative points, and a lower revenue from the domestic sources.
That is, you are affirming my statement. Earlier I had made this statement, so you are affirming it. Next.
And the positives are the country is developing. The government is expanding on the capital expenditure, that the government is trying to invest on the capital assets for the development of the country.
You could have validated it with data. These are all statements. Research involves validation with data. Next.
There's some steps that can be done then to reduce the fiscal deficit or the
First
high.
of all, why to there is a question of me, since I am a very much pro you increase fiscal deficit and save the economy. Okay, according to me, this works. This really works, because this 3% is a World Bank thing, and it is not always that a country should stick to 3% fiscal deficit and thing. Why should we always talk of reducing fiscal deficit?
Yes, sir.
This is a question which the people say that you had debt. You can have debt, but you can go and check America's debt. Go and check China's debt. How much debt do they have? Anyways, go steps to reduce this fiscal deficit.
So a higher emphasis can be given on the tax, so that they get the internal revenues, so that we have to reduce our borrowings from the outside, and the interest rate can be interest that we pay can be reduced. Then lowering the subsidies. By lowering the subsidies, it can be managed. Then pension we have, and as well as to reduce this imports. Make in India initiative has been launched, so that there's high exports of the country, and the country develops.
Okay, fine. I won't speak here because there are a lot of issues which is not coming because you have not delved into the thing. Means you will get, when you read, when you go above MA, do an MPhil in this sector, you will be doing better. Go ahead. At your level, this is good.
That's also.
Okay, very good, very good. Achha, we will come back to the person who was doing a defense last presentation, means last question and answer round, and then we will say it. So I think Mura Kumar, no, impact. Achha, Divya, Miss Divya is there? I don't think she is there. Okay, Srihari Karanth. Dr. Srihari Karanth? Yeah, you are speaking about the defense sector. Can you please share your slide quickly? You are the last one.
Okay.
And Dr. Travolsky has a question because he had a question on.
Okay.
So we will finish it quickly.
Is it visible, sir?
Okay, no, just very quickly. Dr. Travolsky, do you remember the question you would have done to him? Dr. Travolsky, you are here? Dr. Travolsky, you wanted to ask a question to this guy? You want to ask Dr. Srihari Karanth some question? Okay, Dr. Srihari, I have some observations prior to,
yes,
I would conclude after that.
Okay.
First of all, why do you take data from World Bank? Because
Actually,
data is available in Comptroller and Auditor General's Combined Finance and Revenue accounts. You need to take military expenditure of debt and do a trend back analysis. Since this is your PhD analysis, I am being a bit strict in my comments. So you need to make a trend break analysis. Okay. So your first chapter will be trend break analysis, expenditure on military analysis. Okay. Second chapter will be, your second chapter should be policies, which has led to this expenditure. Your third chapter will involve your third chapter might involve other countries spending and other countries spending over the years. And there can be an analysis with China, how China is spending. And also you can earmark certain years in which
Okay.
the expenditure has certainly increased, like 1962. Post China, we totally increased our defense expenditure to a huge extent. So that if
Yes,
you
sir.
trace the real expenditure, then you will be finding out that same. Okay. Similarly,
Yes, sir.
things has happened. So that will be reflected in the policy too. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you need to align policy with the expenditure.
Yes, sir.
So those things should be done.
Yes, sir. Actually, this is not my PhD topic, actually.
Oh,
For
sorry.
this conference only I did. But I take your point, sir. I'll improve.
For conference, it's okay. But conference also means at least
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
means you are a PhD scholar, right? Or you are
Yes, sir.
a
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
assistant professor.
Yes, sir. I'll take your point. Definitely, I'll take.
Then it will be better. Nothing else. If you want
Yes,
to
sir.
pursue with this, nothing else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So I had a nice interaction with everybody, and all paper were good to their own style, and various. They were from various domain. With my limited capability, I tried to contribute in all those papers. I hope that enriches your paper. I would ask Dr. Travelsky if he is there to give some final comments, and then we will end. Dr. Travelsky, if you are there. Okay. We end our session. Hello. We end our session here, and we give it to Dr. Mary.
Thank you, sir, for cheering the technical session. I take this opportunity to thank all the paper presenters, requesting you all to be present for the validatory function at 2. We'll start in 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Recording stopped.